Welcome and welcome back to Granny Metalhead TV, and thanks for stopping by. It's time for the first edition of Granny, Who Did It Better? So tonight, we're going to be checking out two different versions of the same song so that we can decide whose version we like best or whether we like or dislike both. So, all you little Granny Maniacs, gather around for my latest batch of ear candy. Tonight's battle is Boom Boom, John Lee Hooker versus the Animals. First up, John Lee Hooker. Now, John Lee Hooker was born the youngest of 11 children to a sharecropper preacher in Tutwiler, Mississippi. He was born in either 1912 or 1917. There are no official birth records, and he has said both. However, census records from the 1920s and 30s point to 1912. So in 1921, his parents separated, and the following year, his mother remarried a blues singer named William Moore. Now, he introduced John Lee to the guitar and had a large influence on his style of playing. And another major influence on John Lee was the boyfriend of his sister Alice, by a man by the name of Tony Collins. And Tony gave him his first acoustic guitar and taught John Lee how to play it. Now, he ran away from home when he was 14, and in the mid-1930s, he was living in Memphis, playing at parties and at the Daisy Theater on Beale Street. Now, later in 1943, he was living in Detroit, where he worked at the Ford Motor Company plant by day, and at night, he worked as a guitarist in the bars along Hastings Street, where his playing skills were in really high demand. And it was here that he traded his acoustic guitar for a louder electric one. So he was a prolific songwriter, and in spite of being illiterate, and like many musicians, back in the day, he didn't make a lot of money from his recordings. So, like a lot of other artists, he would go to various record labels and record various variations of his songs under multiple aliases like John Lee Booker, John Lee Cooker, The Boogeyman, Birmingham Sam, just to name a few, in order to avoid breach of contract lawsuits. Now, another one of his aliases was Boom Boom, and he caught this while working regularly at the Apex Bar in Detroit. See, John Lee was always late, and the female bartender there would say to him, "Boom Boom, you're late again," or "Boom Boom, I'm gonna shoot you," every single night. And he thought to himself, "Well, this sounds like a song," and so he just wrote it. Then in 1961, he recorded it, but it wasn't released until 1962. And it was a big success in the U.S. And then 30 years later, in 1992, it became a hit in the UK, New Zealand, and France. And as per usual, he made more recordings of this song over the years. So this instantly recognizable and iconic song has been called the greatest pop song he ever wrote. And it's been covered and copied or influenced the entire music industry for decades. He was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1991, and in 1995, Boom Boom was included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of songs that shaped rock and roll. It's to me, it's just sad and crazy to think that even though John Lee Hooker was one of the most influential singers, songwriters, and performers of the 20th century, most people have never heard of him. Now, remember in my last show, I mentioned John Lee Hooker, and that there was a part in there that I wanted y'all to remember. And if y'all haven't seen that, I'll post a link to that show below. But there's a reason why I wanted you to remember that, and so pay attention, keep your ears peeled for that in this video. So originally, I had intended to play a video from a recording of a British show filmed live in 1964. But that got taken down, so we're going to be checking out the album version of this song. I don't know which version album it is from, But anyway, all right, guys, feel it. Don't fight it. Buckle up tight and let's do this thing. Here's the first contender tonight, the original John Lee Hooker, Boom Boom, for Granny's Who Did It Better.
You right down, right off of your feet. Take you home with me. Put you in my house. Boom, 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 boom. How, 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 how. I love to see you strut up and down the floor. Talking to me, that baby talk, I like it like that. Oh, yeah. Talk that talk, walk that walk. Walk that walk and talk that talk and whisper in my ear. Tell me that you love me. I love that talk. When you talk like that, you knock me out. Right off of my feet. Whoa, 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 whoa. Talk.
Man, if you are blown away by that, dig the wax out of your ears or grow a tongue so you'll have some taste. That stuff was fire. Love it or hate it, let me know below. But now, did you catch that ah-ha-ha? Yep. John Lee Hooker did it first, and ZZ Top borrowed it for LaGrange. And this wasn't the only time that they and other artists borrowed from him. Now, let's move on to the next version of Boom Boom by The Animals. So the British band The Animals, along with the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, and the Who, and plus others, were at the forefront of the early 1960s British invasion bands that took American rock and roll from the 1950s, American blues from the 1920s to the early 1960s, and gave it back to the U.S. in a revolutionary new way that revitalized and reshaped American rock and roll and opened up the way for the musical and societal upheaval of the mid to late 1960s. So the Animals covered this song in their 1964 UK album called The Animals. But for some reason, this song was omitted from the US version of that album, and it was released in the U.S. on their second album called The Animals on Tour later in 1965. And it was a decent hit for the band. And also, the band covered other songs by John Lee on this album because, the Brits were just absolutely batshit crazy for U.S. blues music. So the video that we're going to be watching tonight is from their live performance at Wembley Stadium in 1965. The audio and video quality isn't great, but I'll include a link to the studio version below. So if you want to check that out, and I highly recommend that you do because they really do a kick-ass job. So, all right, guys, feel it. don't fight it. Buckle up tight and let's do this thing. Here's the Animals doing Boom Boom for the second part of Granny, Who Did It Better.
This first number we're gonna do is a John Lee Hooker original. It's called Boom Boom, this one. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3. A boom. A boom, 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 boom. Shoot you right down. Right off of your feet. Take you home with me. Put you in my house. Make love. The way you walk. The way you talk. Whisper in my ear. Tell me that you love me. You knock me out. Right off of my feet. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. I want you to shake, shake it, baby. I want you to shake, shake it, baby. I said I want you to shake, shake it, baby. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. I said I want you to shake, shake it, baby. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. Come on and shake, shake it, baby. Well, come on, baby. Shake it, baby. Come on, baby. All right, all right. The way you walk, the way you talk, whisper in my ear, tell me that you love me. You knock me out, right off of my feet. It's alright, said it's alright, baby, don't you know I'm in love with you so. Said it's alright. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Yeah, I want you to shake, baby. Come on and shake, 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 shake, baby. Yeah, said I want you to shake, shake, baby. Come on and shake, shake, baby. Come on and shake, shake, baby. Come on and shake, shake. One more time, one more time, one more time, baby, one more time, just one more time. Come on, baby, shake, shake it, baby, come on and shake, shake it, baby, come on and shake, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake, shake it, baby. Shake it, baby. I want you to shake, 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 baby. Shake it, baby. Driving me crazy. Shake it, baby. Honey, shake it, baby. Baby, it's alright. Yeah.
Man, if you are blown away by that, dig the wax out of your ears and grow a tongue so you'll have some taste, because that stuff was fire too. And despite the equipment problems they had, they really did a good job. Let me know below whose version you like best, or if you love or hate both. I wish I could have seen both of these artists back in the day live. That was probably so awesome. You know, obviously the Animals did a really killer job, and I've seen, a few instance of John Lee Hooker doing it live, and he was really great. Let me know below if you ever saw either of them live or where you were when you first heard this song. Maybe this was your first time, or if it has any special meaning to you. I would love to hear about it. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. If so, please like, subscribe, and join the Granny Maniac family. And then hit that bell for all so you don't miss anything. And please share this video with others so that they can also learn about all this excellent music and these artists. It costs you nothing, but it helps me out a lot. And if there's a song that you want me to play, let me know below. Thanks again for dropping by. Love to my husband, Eric. Love to all you Granny Maniacs. Granny Metalhead is out.
This segment is now over. I'm sure you're all pleased to hear that. If you line up in the foyer later, we'll try and get you all a glass of Kiora and possibly a sweet or two, all right? But don't bank on it because we're fucking mean around it.